when they talk about the issue of whiteness, it also extends to our politics. Now, we told you last week the Supreme Court had the oral arguments that could wipe out anywhere from 12 to 19, upwards of 30 members of the CBC, also some Latinos as well, because you've got white Republicans who don't want race to be issued. Now then, they want to now say, oh no, when we do gerrymandering, it's not about race, it's about politics. That's interesting, because in North Carolina, white Republicans, it's always been about race. Always. See, they got busted. They got busted for targeting black people when it came to voting. Yep, federal judges busted them, literally said there was a surgical-like precision targeting black people. Donald Trump is now running around wanting to say, let's get more districts, more districts. So Republicans in North Carolina said, oh, say no more. The state legislature, they approved a new congressional map and pulled the map up. As you can see, the map creates one additional Republican seat, bolstering the party's majority ahead of next year's midterm elections. It's going to target the seat currently held by Congressman Don Davis, who's African American. Now, North Carolina state law does not allow the governor, Josh Stein, a Democrat, to veto redistricting bills. Robert Reeves, the North Carolina State House Minority Leader, he joins us right now. I'm glad to have you on the show. Let's just be clear. White Republicans have been targeting black people in North Carolina because they are still pissed off with 2008. 2008, President, then Senator Barack Obama, won North Carolina by 14,100 votes. And man, since then, Republicans there have been doing everything they can to change voting laws, to change procedures, to target black people. There have been lawsuits. You had Moral Mondays. You had Bishop William Barber and others going to court, Democracy Now! And so what we're dealing with here, Robert, is pure and simple. It is literally a battle over black and white in North Carolina.
Yeah, and I can definitely see where you get that. And Roland, I appreciate you having me on. I really appreciate all the work that you guys do. What we've been running into, like you said, since that time has been a gerrymandering problem that, again, Justice Clarence Thomas said was racist. And so with that being said, everything you've been doing since that time has to be viewed with that lens. And that is not accusing anybody of anything. I don't know whatever's on anybody's mind. What I know is that Don Davis recognized one thing. The bill that has been submitted and has been voted on and made law in Congress cannot work for Northeastern North Carolina. It can't work for rural North Carolina. 80% of this state is rural. And it's not just hurting black people. It's hurting black people, white people, Latino people, Native Americans, every Asian. Everybody is getting hurt by this thing. And yes, you can't help but notice that Don Davis, who represents the district that took 90 years to get an African-American to represent it, despite the large African-American population, is now being put out of office for whatever reason.
And so for the people who will say, well, Ro, I think that, I mean, I hear you, but I think you're just, taking too far. No. Well, you said it, you just said it. Even Clarence Thomas was like, damn, this is racist. I mean, what Republicans were, they literally put it on paper. Hey, can y'all find out when black people vote early? And they saw 70% of black votes were cast in early voting. So they slashed early voting. Then they said, we're only gonna have one polling location per county as well. I mean, direct, unambiguous attacks on black people in North Carolina.
And what I would say also is, and again, I'm in office. I'm not endorsing, not saying anything about what anybody's intentions are. But what I would say is that
I am.
If you notice, I understand. If you notice the effect that it's having, I think people have got to understand that if we don't speak out, if we don't do anything, then we're basically saying it's okay. And I'll have to acknowledge I was a little unhappy to see that there weren't any faces of people that were being affected showing up today to show their displeasure. We've got to stop sitting on the sidelines, all of us. This isn't on the back of Roland Martin. This isn't on the back of elected officials. This isn't on the back of Hakeem Jeffries. This is on the back of everyone who is worried about what the next generation looks like and what their opportunities are. And until we show that we're serious about this, I'm afraid that you're going to see a lot of this continue. And again, I want to be clear because North Carolina gets real funny and folks get real funny about what you're saying they are or aren't doing. I'm not trying to read anybody's mind. I'm telling you what the effect is. And if that is the effect, that should be taken into account when you're doing these things.
Well, see, I'm not reading their minds. I'm reading what they actually said. This is from July 2016. This is a Washington Post article. And I need people to understand, okay? Again, people listen to me clearly. Republicans in North Carolina have been pissed off because Obama won the state. North Carolina used to be one of the worst states when it came to voter turnout. But because people, activists and others were on the ground beating the bush, and then Obama comes in, black voter blows up. And then all of a sudden, North Carolina rises to the top portion of the state, of the country, when it came to voter turnout because of 2008. Ever since then, it's been suppressed, suppressed, suppressed. This is an article, again, in the Washington Post, July 29, 2016. The headline says, "The Smoking Gun Proving North Carolina Republicans Tried to Disenfranchise Black Voters." And a federal court struck down the North Carolina voter ID law, and the architect of that was Tom Tillis, later in the United States Senate. You had Pat McCrory and others, and they laid out. They found only 31 individual cases of voter impersonation, and the judges found that the provisions, quote, target African Americans with almost surgical precision. This data showed that African Americans disproportionately lacked the most common kind of photo ID, those issued by the Department of Motor Vehicles, so the legislators did it on purpose. Quote, with race data in hand, the legislature amended the bill to exclude many of the alternative photo IDs used by African Americans. The bill retained only the kinds of IDs that white North Carolinians were more likely to possess. Now, that's not me saying I think what they were doing. These are federal judges who said, yeah, we see what they were doing. Now, let's move forward. You had an opportunity when Sherry Beasley was Chief Justice of North Carolina Supreme Court. And to your point about people falling asleep, this is a perfect example. Had she she lost by 401 votes.
400.
Had she got, and for people who don't understand, that people on the show, I keep talking about state Supreme Courts and why they matter. When the Democrats, because the Supreme Court races are partisan, when they took control of the Supreme Court, what did they rule against? This law. They ruled against racial gerrymandering, ruled against partisan gerrymandering. They stopped the Republican legislature, a lot of their craziness. Those Republicans were so pissed off, they wanted to take the power of the Supreme Court, which is supposed to be the highest in the state, and give it to the court beneath them because Republicans control that. So what happens? She runs for re-election. She loses. So Democrats could have had a 6-1 majority. It went to 4-3. The next election, I think it was a brother who was on the court. He ran for another office. They filled that once, so they flipped. Now Republicans have a 5-2 majority. That's why they tried to take out the white woman who just won. But it was over her election, I think it was 700 some odd votes. And that's why they have been trying to target. They tried to impeach Anita Earls because she gave her opinion on diversity. And so I need our people to understand, had black folks, especially in the in the Black Belt, East North Carolina, had we maximized our votes, Robert, we'll be having a different conversation in North Carolina about political power.
Exactly. 40 votes per county. If we picked up 40 votes per county, Sherry Beasley's in place, everything's different right now. But we chose not to do that, and that's what I'm saying. We've got to decide, and here's the gift we've been given, Roland. The gift is that now the federal government has said they want churches fully involved. They want churches to take positions.
That's right. From the pulpit. Church pastors can endorse from the pulpit.
Yes. So that's an opportunity because the strongest, the largest motivator and the largest position maker that we have had in our history has been the black church. So this is an opportunity for every black pastor in this country to step up, not to try to take care of any particular party or group, but to take care of their own.
Take care of their parishioners.
Yes, that's it. And so all you got to do is take the position, who's going to help the people that I am pastoring, the people I am preaching to, the people who don't have health care, the people who don't have educational opportunities. Do you know how hard it is in North Carolina right now if you don't live in one of the big cities to get anything? You don't have public transportation. You don't have these private schools that they're throwing all of our tax money into. You don't have any of this stuff. And so you've got to depend on the government to at least give you a shot. And folks that live in rural North Carolina are getting killed on this, which again is what makes taking Don Davis out so treacherous.
So before I go to my panel with questions, and I'll tell you this here, I had a pastor, this was Reverend Sharpton had his National Action Network conference, and a pastor called me asking me if I was attending. I wasn't. I had something else to do, and he asked me, they were having a panel on the state of the black church during Trump. I said, man, stop wasting y'all breath. He was like, what? I said, this is what y'all should be focused on. I said, this is all you should be focused on. You should be focused on what is the National Action Network's committee specifically for North Carolina and Georgia. I said, there's a U.S. Senate race in 2026. I said, Anita Earls is on the ballot to retain her Supreme Court seat in 2026. I said, NAN and other religious groups should be locked and loaded saying we're going to have massive turnout in 2026. When I met, when I met with the alphas during CBCF, I said the exact same thing. I'm giving the National Pan-Hellenic keynote speech at the conference on October 31st in Houston. I'm telling them the exact same thing. And this is what I told them. I said, no disrespect, but y'all should ignore West North Carolina. I said, because what happens is all the attention is always in West North Carolina. And I'm going to put, and so, I was saying the same thing when I was in North Carolina. I was there. We were broadcasting, doing things for Vice President Kamala Harris. And what I said to them is, what often happens, all of the money, all of the visits go to North Carolina. She made 22 visits during the 4 years to North Carolina, made one visit to East North Carolina, one. And what I said to folks is you got to understand the state, and you know this very well. When you look at the state of North Carolina and you break it down, and what people have to understand. So folks, so go to my iPad right now. Y'all, this is a state right here. If you essentially, let's just say you see Raleigh. If I draw a line, let's see here. No, I'm gonna pull up, give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull, this ad pops up. I'm gonna do this here. And tell me if I'm wrong here, Robert. If I put that line to the left where it says Raleigh, and that line goes straight down, let's say where it says Granville, goes down the way, Harnett, Cumberland. If I draw that line down there, and I say I'm gonna hit everything to the right of that line, that's the richest part of black voters that gets the least amount of attention and the least amount of money to turn out in elections statewide. Correct? Yes or no?
Absolutely correct. That is it. And Roland, what is interesting is that I've heard pundits up until recently tell us, well, no, we can't do anything down east. There's not much hope or anything of that sort. And you're seeing numbers of 30% population in the county, 40% populations in counties, and we're just not going out there talking to them. Just go out there and talk to them, tell them what's going on, and then come right back. And I'm glad you brought up activating the alphas. I've activated my fraternity, Kappas. And the local Kappas have gone crazy about trying to get out here. They're canvassing now. And my question is, why is the Divine Nine not doing this? I mean, we've got an opportunity. We can knock doors every day until 26.
Right. You don't need permission.
They will welcome us. You'd be shocked. I was shocked. I'd never knocked doors before I ran for office. I was shocked at how happy people were to see me and to see us and to see faces they felt they could relate to. And you'd be shocked at how many people want to help us do that. I had organizations call when I talked about the activism and I give out a shout out to Tony and my Raleigh alumni chapter. But when he was talking about, look, I want to canvass, I want to do these things, I want to organize. They said free training. You tell us when to show up, where to show up. We will train you. We will talk to you. We will help you. We will attend. We will stay out of the way if you want us. But there is no reason. We had a bill last year that would all but effectively shut down the Divine Nine on all campuses in North Carolina. I mean, think about that. Look at what just happened at UNC Chapel Hill. 52 years they've been part of that lounge and then just taken, just like that, like they were never there. And we're not standing up. Think of the athletic money that you've got. You think of all of the people that we have. At one point in time, we had 2 black billionaires in North Carolina. Why aren't we activating these networks? So I'm with you. I mean, it's all this opportunity, and we're just letting it go.
Questions from the panel. Rebecca, you first.
Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. So I lead a national voting rights nonprofit. We do a lot of work in North Carolina, including work on college campuses with organizing those campuses for civic engagement. We do nonpartisan work, but how can nonpartisan organizations such as Fair Election Center support to make sure that when redistricting happens, that it's fair, is following the law, and it's not having a negative impact on marginalized communities?
Well, I tell you, that's a great question. I appreciate you asking that question. Nonpartisan groups have a special opportunity because the lines have been drawn so well. And I apologize, I guess that sounds like a pun, but I'm saying in the sense of there are folks who feel like everybody should be voting. There are folks who seem to feel like everybody shouldn't be voting. And if you believe in voting, it's a pretty easy thing. Here are the ways that we can make it easier to vote. Here's how voting affects you. I went and talked to a group of college students last night. And one thing I walked them through is how there is no business in America that has not become successful because of the government taking interest in that business.
Boom.
And writing stuff that would help those businesses go forward. I went to speak at...
No. Stop. No, stop.
Oh,
I need you to repeat that again for the people in the back who don't understand, who say, government don't do nothing in my life. Government ain't got no impact on my life. Every business knows that's a lie. Go ahead, say it again.
And that's why these businesses spend so much money in elections. That's why Citizens United was such a game changer. Because now businesses can say, this is going to help my business. I'm going to pour money into it. We just had that happen here in North Carolina. We got a brand new industry that didn't exist because the business donated some money. At least that's what it appears. Red Speed donates the money. Suddenly they've got traffic cameras deciding about who's going to get caught for speeding. Not police officers, not anybody else, but traffic cameras. Literally, no business in this country has become successful without government stepping in, changing regulations, helping them with loans, helping them with the ability to attract loans. Finance Magazine said you can see where redlining will or won't happen just by the representation that somebody's got. Just that simple, because the government's the only ones that can lean on a bank to say, you've got to help these folks out just like you're helping everybody else.
Yep.
There's tons of government money out there you're never going to have access to if you're not involved in government.
Larry.
Yeah, thank you for taking time this evening. And you hit on some things. You talked about the Divine Nine and maybe certainly some failures in terms of political activism. As we move closer to the midterms, what does Black political activism, what will it look like in North Carolina? Do you need to consider non-traditional approaches? What is it going to look like now, particularly as we're talking about gerrymandering?
Hold up, Rob, before you answer that question, we're not moving closer to the midterms. We are in the cycle now. Right now, we're in it now. Robert, go ahead.
Yes. And what I would say to that is simply this. You can always be innovative, but I'm telling you, there are things that work that we just don't utilize. And that's the problem. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I am telling you factually. How do I know? Because we had a race in North Carolina in one of our districts, State House districts, that got decided by 400 votes. Republicans spent almost $2 million to just knock doors, to pay people to knock doors, which means they know that it works in areas.
Hold on. Hold up. The Republicans paid people a total of $2 million to knock doors. Democrats, stop expecting us to knock on doors for free. Robert, go ahead.
There you go, Roland. There you go.
I ain't got a problem saying it, but go right ahead.
Stop expecting people to volunteer. Do you know how many people that are working 2 jobs that would love to give up their second job if you just give them the money to supplement? They believe in your cause. They just need help. We can't afford to just stop. You can't even afford to serve in that General Assembly right now. We get paid $13,000 a year, and we run almost the full 2 years. So that means that you got to have a job that pays you enough money to supplement, and on top of that, gives you the leeway to leave miss work for weeks on end, and then come back and pretend like nothing has happened. Stop expecting people to give up their livelihoods, especially when we don't know, what those results will be. And it's more dangerous now than it's ever been. Not dangerous in the sense I'm saying of physically, but dangerous in the sense of we have had people that we've asked to run and we've asked to volunteer that have said, I was planning to run for office, but then I was told I'm going to lose my job. I was told if I do these things, this is what's going to happen. We've got to be more considerate of those factors and make sure people have the ability to get out and help. But again, back to the original question, there are tons of time-proven methods to get people out to vote. And the doors that are knocked on the very least are black doors.
Niambi.
And they want to hear what's happening.
Thank you, Robert. I think this is really important. I'm a former North Carolina resident. My family lives in District 1, so I am very aware of many of the issues that are happening. Right, my family's from Warren County, Halifax, and Vance, and so it's not surprising, given the way that these places have historically been treated by the state, that this would happen yet again, right? But this is also the same place that was the home of the environmental justice movement.
Yep.
These people were not the most well-resourced. These people were not the best educated, but they knew something was wrong in their communities. So how do we tap into that spirit again? And also, how do we bring in this generation of young people? Because we have high dropout rates in this very same district. We have a lot of also very motivated college students in and around District 1 and other parts of Eastern North Carolina. So how do we mobilize those young people who want to do something and are actually in a place where it matters? The margins are what's making elections in these places in and around the state of North Carolina. So how do we bring those constituencies together of young people along with this spirit of our elders who showed us that laying down in the street can be a really effective way to get some movement and some traction if you need to. And you don't have to know everything about an issue to do that.
Robert, while you're talking, we're actually playing the video of when the head of the EPA, Michael Regan, was there in North Carolina announcing these monumental changes. We actually were the only media outlet broadcasting live from there. So go right ahead.
Exactly. And I think that's such a wonderful point that you brought up. Everybody thinks that you got to have this background, this training, all this kind of stuff. All of us do. I thought that. When I got elected, I was scared to death to go up there because I was just like, I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't planning to do this. And then you get in, you realize all that matters is you work and you try. And people will reward you for effort. Again, I bring back up talking to these college students. You will hear the narrative when it's a bunch of adults in the room saying these kids don't care, these kids won't do this, these kids won't do that. And then you go talk to them, and all they want somebody to do is come to them and say, hey, what's going on? How does it connect to me? And tell me how I can change things. And when they find that out, they will outwork everybody in the room. And if you do this in Northeast North Carolina with the history that it has, it would be amazing. The environmental justice movement was one of the most important movements that we had going on in North Carolina, because one of the things folks didn't realize is how bad black people were affected and other minority groups by this. I mean, that goes through hog farm fights and all these kinds of things. But you've got to let people know, and we just don't talk to people. And it's not one of those things, and I appreciate what you guys are doing even today. It's not something where you can place all the blame on any particular group. It's a lot of people that have just decided that we're not going to go out here and talk to these folks or educate them because they don't fit some narrative. And I'm telling you, there is not a human being breathing that you shouldn't be talking to. I'd be talking to people 14 and 15 too, because at some point they're going to be voting. Start with kids early. I started with my kids. I started with my kids when they were young and just telling them, here are the issues. Here are the ways that they affect you. Here are the things that you can do to change it. This is what you got to do. But we've all got to have those conversations. We can't depend. We're not going to have another Barack Obama in our lifetimes, most likely, simply because we don't appreciate how great a person he was, how magical he was for the moment. We're not going to have another William Barber in North Carolina anytime in our lifetime. You've got to take it upon yourselves, all of us, to say that we're not going to let moments pass where we don't have these discussions with people.
Well, I'm going to say this here. You've got, there's a lot of excitement on the Democratic side because you've got former Governor Roy Cooper running for the United States Senate. I've already reached out to his campaign for he and I to have a conversation. But this is also what has to happen. And this is where And I think this is important for for you, for Congresswoman Alma Adams and Davis, and let's say grassroots folks. And that is, it has to be a very loud and clear statement made to the
Yes.
white strategists. Let me be very
Yes.
clear, to the white media strategists, to the white campaign strategists who control the money, to say, y'all want to dump all your money on television? You better put your damn money on the ground. And the reality is, because see, we went there. We were there. We were there in churches in Rocky Mount. We went to Elizabeth City. We went to Fayetteville State. We did broadcast from those campuses. And what people need to understand is, you got to be there, and it has to be constant. You got to be knocking on doors 4, 5, 6 times. The money has to be there. And I'm going to keep challenging the D9, and I'm going to keep challenging Prince Hall Mason. I'm sorry. I keep saying the Eastern Star as well. I'm tired of having all these black groups, and we meet, and, well, what are we meeting for? How do you use your power? But we got to put pressure on the folk with money to say, you keep spending money, but then you want us to be sharecroppers. You want us to volunteer, work for free, and turn out votes to see strategists and others get rich. No, you better put that money on the ground. And I'm telling you right now, that seat in North Carolina can be flipped. Georgia can be held. We can actually defeat these people. And here's the piece. Anita Earls gets reelected. 3 of those state Supreme Court seats Republicans hold are up in 28.
Absolutely.
They can get taken out. And so if those can be flipped, all of a sudden you win those 3 in North Carolina and 28, all of a sudden Democrats have a majority on that state Supreme Court, and they can come back, because Republicans did this here. For people who are watching, the Democratic-controlled Supreme Court had made judicial rulings. When the Republicans won in November, they came back 3 months after the initial ruling and said, oh, we're going to consider these cases again, and overturn those rulings. So guess what?
Exactly.
Payback is a mother. That can happen again. But we have got to maximize our numbers. And I'm telling y'all, the path to victory in North Carolina is in the black belt of the eastern portion of the state. We got to be on the ground, being back. And I can tell you right now, we're going to be there broadcasting like we did last year. We're going to be there again next year. We literally are, all this damn noise Antoine's making over here is we're sitting here putting together our crane because we're going to have multiple units out around the country, because I'm telling you, we doing real work here right now. All this stuff is happening because we have to be driving the black vote and maximizing our power. Simple as that, Robert. Final comment.
Final comment is this, Roland. You're absolutely right on everything you're saying. I want to add one point. Sometimes you can't get folks to do what you know needs to get done, and then you have to do it yourself.
Yep.
The money follows money. If the wealth in the black community, and this isn't just limited to people who live in North Carolina and Georgia, the other 48 states, everybody can participate. You take that wealth, and that wealth starts getting channeled, and that wealth starts saying, I'm giving you guys money, and this is what I want to see done with it, and then people ignore them, you give it directly to the people who are going to make it happen.
Yeah.
There are programs we can put in place right now that if folks will work, put the money together and fund it, I promise you, nobody wants to get left behind when something starts working. That's the great thing about politics. They see something working, everybody's going to join in. But when we can't go and say, hey, look, these are the people who have put their stake in, it's hard to get other people who already don't think like you to then turn around and give you the money. But when I can walk in and I can say, here are these millionaires, these black millionaires who have for all of this time been important parts of your machine. This is what they're funding, and this is what they would like to see happen. You start getting in line. And so that is my final point is this is all doable. These margins are so small. And I know one of the panelists said that again. I want to repeat that. The difference in the majority in that House, for all intents and purposes, at some point in time has come down to about 6,000, 7,000 votes. That's nothing. That's something we can overcome. We got people that won by 100, people that won by 700, 800. Let's make it happen. But we have got to show that we're just as serious as we want others to be. I've never asked anybody to do something that I don't do myself. And so that's what I would ask, and that is my plea. Thank you, Roland, for what you're doing. Can't wait to see you down in North Carolina, and can't wait to go down east with you, because we got a lot of great people that want some help and want some change.
Well, I've told our people, look, give to the Black Voters Matter, groups like that who are on the ground. I said we can fund it ourselves. And listen, when we got together, Win with Black Men, and we had that big conference call that Monday after the death of Joe Biden dropped out, $1.5 million was raised, and there were some people who literally came to me. They were mad because we kept $450,000, $1.1 million went to her campaign, and I told them, you can get the hell out of my damn face. I said we kept $450,000, so we gonna get that money directly to black male groups who are doing the work. I said, so I don't care what you got to say. And they was backed up. I said, and we gonna do it again too. And so that's the other piece. If we can mobilize to raise $1.5 million, brothers, and then the almost 2 million the sisters raised, guess what? We can do the exact same thing to target these two states, because the votes are there. We drive the black votes in those two states, we win. Robert, we appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you soon in North Carolina.
Hey, Roland, can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
One last thing, and I apologize for saying this. Here's the other thing I got to remind people. Whatever's working for black people actually works for everybody that's working. There's an economic struggle going on just as much as a racial struggle. Labor has come in and been invaluable in trying to help us out in a lot of these races for African Americans. So make sure when we're telling this message, understand, if it works for us, everybody's going to eat.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Well, that's history. Bottom line is, broke white people, their quality of life increased every time black people fought for rights. That's just a fact.
Amen.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Man.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.